Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Reaching Higher, a podcast designed for Jewish children, where we embark on exciting journeys through interesting and enjoyable subjects. I'm your host, Atara, and together, let's jump in to the wonders that await us. Welcome to our newest episode of Reaching Higher. Today's episode will be all about a Sofer Stam, which is a scribe who writes Torahs, Megillas, Mezuzahs, Tefillin. We hope you enjoy it. Before we speak to a Sofer, we ask some kids, what questions would they ask if they met a Sofer Stam?
Hi, my name is Libby, and if I wanted to ask a Sofer Stam something, I want to ask if your hand ever gets tired.
Hi, my name is Nasha. If I would meet a Sofer Stam, I would ask him how it takes off the skin off of the animal. Hi, my name is Yitzchak. If I met a Sofer Stam, then I would ask why are there crowns on the letters in the Sefer Torah.
My name is Kobe. If I met a Sofer Stam, I would ask him to learn Torah with me.
Hi, my name is Ethan. If I meet a Sofer Stam, I'll ask him who taught you how to write.
Hi, my name is Marianne. If I will meet a Sofer Stam, I will ask him if the Torah could be written in colorful. Hi, my name is Noam. If I can meet a Sofer Stam, I would ask him, how do you know all of the psukim in the Torah by heart?
Now that we all know what we are so curious about and we know what questions to ask, I would like to bring on my friend Aaron. Aaron is a Sofer Stam, and he will answer all of our questions. Hi, Aaron. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from and where you live now.
Sure. So my name is Aaron Goodhart. I live in Karmegat, Israel, and I moved here from Melbourne, Australia, home of the koalas and the kangaroos.
What is a Sofer Stam, and what is the process to become one?
So a Sofer Stam who does Safrut, it's the process of writing Sifrei Kodesh, like Sifrei Torah, Mezuzot, Tefillin, and Megillot, amongst other Sifrei Kodesh. This person who writes them is called a Sofer, which just means he's a writer, and it takes a lot of time and practice to become a great Sofer. You can become one by taking a course made up of a series of lessons where you learn how to write each and every letter of the alphabet according to halacha. It can be really difficult to write them all at first, but with a lot of practice, you can become really, really good.
So why did you want to go through this whole process to become a Sofer?
That's a great question. I've always had an interest in languages and art, and I found that writing Safrut Stam was a really great combination of both. I've always loved the idea of continuing Jewish tradition, and as I'm writing the same Sefarim with exactly the same text that Jews have been writing for thousands and thousands of years, I feel it's a really practical way to perform my own Avodat Hashem, and when I see the writing in front of me as I continue, it's just such a great feeling.
So you're talking about writing. Which materials? Do you have special things you need to use, materials and tools in order to be a Sofer?
Of course, you can't just use pen and paper. There are some special materials. So these are the same things that have been used by Sofrim for thousands of years, dating back to Moshe Rabbeinu and Har Sinai. So the paper that you write on is called klaf, and it's made out of the skin of a kosher animal. Usually today it's from a cow. The pen is called a quill, and it's cut out of the feather from a kosher bird. Usually it's a turkey because they have really nice thick feathers. And the ink is black ink that is especially made for writing Sifrei Kodesh.
How long does it take to write a Torah, a Megillah, Mezuzah, or Tefillin?
Ooh, so they're all very, very different. Let's go from the shortest to the longest. As a rough estimate, a Mezuzah takes about 2 hours to write. Tefillin takes 2 days. A Megillat Esther takes 2 weeks. And a Torah takes 2 years.
What's the hardest part of writing a Torah?
I think it's staying focused, because there are over 306,000 words in the Torah, and one mistake, one letter missing or one letter that's written wrong could make the whole thing pasul. So the sofer needs to make sure that every letter is written correctly, especially when they're writing the names of Hashem.
You're talking about writing mistakes. Have you ever made a mistake while writing? And what do you do? How do you fix it?
It's really, really common to make mistakes. And unlike if you're writing with a pencil, that you can just erase it with an eraser, with Stam, because the ink dries on the cloth, you need to scrape it away with a very, very sharp knife. You have to be very careful when you're doing this to make sure that you don't make a hole in the cloth.
Is there any technology that's used in the process of writing a Torah?
Surprisingly, not really so much when you're writing a Torah. The process has stayed pretty much the same throughout Jewish history. However, when you're checking a mezuzah or a Sefer Torah, we do use a camera and special computer software to check the mezuzah and the Sefer Torah to look for broken letters or missing letters or any mistakes that there might be.
This podcast is for kids. What advice would you give to them, kids who are listening to this, and they want to become a sofer?
I'd say that it's a really, really fun way to do mitzvot. I would say that you should ask your Imma or Abba to help you try it out and to try writing. And for all of the people who live in Karamegat, I'm really very happy to show you my studio, where I write, and what the whole process looks like.
Aaron, we have some questions that kids submitted. Libby wants to know, do your hands ever get tired?
Yes, Libby. I can only write for about 30 to 45 minutes before I need to stretch.
Nachshon asked, how do they take the skin off of the animal?
Nachshon, that's a great question. First, they need to shecht the cow, and then they use a sharp knife to remove the skin. After that, they stretch it out on a big frame to let it dry for a long time before it can be used.
Yitzchak has a good question. Why are there crowns on top of the letters?
That's a great question, Yitzchak. They're called tagin, and they're there to make the letters look more beautiful. There's actually a great story inside the Talmud where Moshe Rabbeinu asks exactly the same question to Hashem.
Eitan wants to know, who taught you how to write a Sefer Torah?
I learned how to write a Sefer Torah and all the things I write from a great sofer called Rav Meuna, who lives in Yerushalayim.
Mayan asked us, can the Torah be written in colorful ink?
No, Ma'ayan, the ink is always black. However, there are many other ways that Sofrim have added more beauty to what they write, like making really huge tagin with lots of flowers and really beautiful things, all the way through Jewish history.
Our last question for you, Aaron, is from Noam. Noam wants to know, do you know all of the psukim that you write by heart?
No, absolutely not. I have a special book called a Tikkun, where I copy each word from, and this is to make sure that I don't make any mistakes when I write.
Aaron, thank you so much for giving us all these amazing answers and teaching us all about what it's like being a Sofer Stam. You may have noticed that Sephardi and Ashkenazi Torahs look different from each other. And since I am Ashkenazi, I wonder if I could hear Torah reading in a Sephardi shul from a Sephardi Torah. Let me ask my rabbi. Hey Rav Aminadav, I have a question. The Ashkenazi Torahs look so different from the Sephardi Torahs. Can an Ashkenazi use a Sephardi Torah?
It's a great question. An Ashkenazi can be Yotzei Kriyat Torah with a Sephardi Sefer Torah, just as a Sephardi can be Yotzei Kriyat Torah from an Ashkenazi Sefer Torah. It's really interesting, even though the Sefer Torah of Ashkenazim and Sephardim look very different from the outside, there are only minor, very small differences on the inside in the way that they're written. There are slight differences in the way that the letters are written, and there are some words sometimes that are written with a vav or without a vav, with a yud or without a yud in Ashkenazi, but not Sephardi Sefer Torah. But otherwise, all of the words and everything is the same. There's a really beautiful lesson we can learn even though the things that different communities do look different, we all share the same Torah, the same message from Hashem that tells us how to live our lives. We might have different kinds of tefillah, eat different foods, have different minhagim, but at the end of the day, we all follow the same Torah that was given to Moshe at Har Sinai.
We could not do this episode of Reaching Higher without speaking to the most famous Sofer of all time. Here's a hint. He wrote Ezra, Malachi, and parts of Divrei Hayamim, Ezra HaSofer. So here he is.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ezra. You're right. I wrote a lot of books. But I was also the one who led the Jews back to Israel in the time of the second Beit HaMikdash.
Wait, Ezra, where were the Jews? Why did they need to be brought back?
Oh, yes. They were sent out of Israel to live in Babylonia, and then groups of Jews came back. I didn't go back right away because I had some responsibilities in Babylonia, but I went when the second Beit HaMikdash was built.
Okay, Ezra, so what happened when you got back to Israel?
It was pretty bad. The Jews weren't keeping all the commandments, so I helped them get back on track.
What do you mean, Ezra? How did you help them get back on track?
I taught them many of the laws, and since I was a scribe, I knew them very well. I also introduced some new decrees, one being that the Torah should be read publicly on Shabbat afternoon, and another law was that the Torah be read publicly in the mornings on Monday and Thursday.
Okay, can we go back to you being a scribe? What else did you write as a scribe?
I wrote a perfect Torah scroll that was kept in the Beit HaMikdash. You might ask why this was important, and it was because all scrolls were copied from that first perfect Torah scroll. A lot of mistakes can come about when copying things over and over again, but if we keep going back to that original perfect Torah, it ensures that mistakes don't happen.
Ezra, we just had our friend Aaron Goodhart on the show. Do you know him?
Yes, of course. We have many mutual friends, and he's wonderful at his job. What about him?
He told us he uses special tools in his work as a sofer. Do you use the same tools as him?
Yes, of course. Feathers, parchment, special ink. We have been using the same materials to write our Jewish holy text for thousands of years. I have to go write more Torahs now, but please send Aaron my best wishes.
Welcome to Spectacular Story Time. Aaron mentioned earlier about why some of the letters in the Torah have crowns on them. Let's learn about it now with a story about Rabbi Akiva. Moshe and the Mystery of the Torah Crowns. Once upon a time, in the land of sand and stars, there was a great leader named Moshe. Moshe was a special guy. He had a VIP pass to meet Hashem up on a magical mountain. One day, when Moshe took his usual trip up that mountain, he saw something curious. Hashem was busy decorating the letters of the Torah scroll with little crowns. These crowns, known as tagin or ketarim, like a keter, looked like little tiny spikes or the Hebrew letter Zion. Moshe scratched his head, his curiosity getting the best of him. He couldn't help but ask, "Hey Hashem, why are you putting these fancy crowns on the letters? Who's stopping you from giving the Torah without all this extra decoration?" Hashem chuckled and replied, "Oh, Moshe, my friend, there's a future superstar named Akiva ben Yosef. He's going to be an amazing Torah scholar. And from every little crown, he'll be able to discover heaps and heaps of new teachings and laws. It's like giving him a treasure map." Moshe nodded, still a little bit puzzled, but trusting in Hashem's wisdom. And so the Torah letters got their special crowns, waiting for the day when Akiva ben Yosef would come along and unlock their secrets. And that, kids, is why some of the letters in the Torah have crowns, tiny, magical hints, just waiting for a brilliant mind to discover their hidden treasures. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode. Please tell your friends about meeting Aaron the Sofer and about meeting Ezra HaSofer. And let us know if you have any more questions for either one of them. We can't wait to see you on the next episode of Reaching Higher.